Grand Rising family, I hope all is well. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone's weekend is going well. Everyone is staying safe. If you are new to the channel, welcome to HGW Community 72. And the HGW stands for Homegrown Wellness Community 72. I am Miss B, Bohemian Soul, and welcome. If you are not new to the channel and you are a subscriber or you have visited before, I'm simply saying welcome back. I thank each and every one of you that are watching or that will watch, like, share, and subscribe this video as well. So today's video, it is entitled Signs That You Have Healed and You Are Healing and have moved on with your life. Again, signs that you have healed and or are healing and have moved on with your life. So obviously this is definitely going to be related to a relationship, rather it be a ex or a marriage, you're now divorced, or the ending of a long-term, I would say 5 or more year relationship. So I am not talking to a 6-month or a year relationship, but actually I'm going to say 3 years or more, or you are divorced. So here are some signs that you're healed, you are healing, or you have really moved on. 1, you can hear your ex's name and not get angry. You don't get upset. You don't all of a sudden experience anxiety. You can hear their name mentioned in conversation. You run into someone that has the exact same name as your ex, and there's nothing there. It's just, oh. Which now leads me into another sign that you are healed, you are healing, and or you have moved on. You can go a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, a week without thinking about your ex. Because in the beginning of the end of the relationship, the marriage, you got to a point where you were saying things like, Lord, let me just be able to get through an hour without thinking about them. Let me get to a day without thinking about them. And it's happened. And you find yourself, wow, it's been 5 days. Not once have I thought about my ex, what they're doing, how they're doing. And usually you realize that you haven't thought about them 5 days because someone may have said their name or mentioned their name, or in my case, for instance, I received my child support payment, because I do receive child support from my ex, and it's like, oh, okay, great, I got my child support, and that's it. You know, that's it. Let's see. Another sign that you have healed, you are healing, and you have moved on. You are able to have a conversation with the opposite sex. So if you are a woman, you're able to have a conversation with a man, and feel no guilt, feel like this is normal, this is what's supposed to happen. If you are a man, you're able to have a conversation with the woman and feel no guilt, no regret, not thinking about your ex. So I know I recently, and it's something, because I was like, wow, you know, girl, you have healed and you have really moved on. Because I recently had a conversation with a grown man and it was an awesome conversation. Just like, you know, silly things, you know, mutual interests and things. But I didn't feel like I was cheating, because when you've ended a marriage like myself, 14 years, I remember like the first month of us just being separated, our children and I went to eat. We went out to eat, and actually ended up running into someone there that I grew up with, a guy that I grew up with, and he was like, hey, you know, how you doing? And I was like so like distant and so like cold and so matter of fact, and he was like, I'm just seeing like how you doing. But there was like well, one, I wasn't divorced, but I hadn't, you know, had conversations with any man besides my husband. And so recently, you know, almost basically a year and a half after the separation, and then the divorce, I had a conversation, you know, with a man, and it was good. And I had to literally tell the man that I was talking to, I said, you know, at the end of our conversation, I said, you know, I just want you to realize and to know that I genuinely enjoy this conversation today. And for me, my soul was at peace. Like I said, there was no guilt, there was no shame, because I am divorced. I am a single woman. And in me later on reflecting on that conversation, I was like, you know, you've really healed. You've really moved on with life. So that was another sign. And I think one of the biggest signs, for me at least, that healing has taken place and moving forward with your life is when you are able to offer or give grace to your ex. You know, where there may be a situation where their name has come up in conversation with someone else. One, you're not bringing the conversation up about them, but the conversation has been brought to you, and you are in a position, this is huge, y'all, where you can dog them out. You can like speak just very negative or make negative comments about them, and or just speak to where, you know, they look bad. And you don't do that. You do just the opposite. You speak in a sense where you extend grace to them. Because at the end of the day, oh, there's one more. But at the end of the day, you know, if you have children with this person, they're your child's father. Or if you're a man and, you know, your ex-wife, they're your child's mother. So, you know, you don't get on the bandwagon of basically dogging them out, but you're like, yeah, no, that may be the situation, but you know, it's okay. You know, everybody's got their own issues. Everybody's got to work through their own. This road that I'm traveling down, y'all, is very, very bumpy. I'm taking the back roads, not on the highway. So I'm taking the back roads. I live in a very rural part of Connecticut, and I guess they call themselves working on the road. So there's a lot of bumping going on. So forgive the camera jumping all around and stuff like that, the phone. But you know, you extend grace to them, and you know, you don't speak ill of them. And the last sign, which is really important, and I touched on it previously. If you have children with your ex-spouse or your ex-partner, you are at a place where you're having conversation, you know, with your children if they're of age, and the conversation will go like, you know, well, you know, at the end of the day, you know, your dad and I will never ever be back together. But, you know, I want your dad and I in the future to be able to have a very healthy co-parenting relationship, because at the end of the day, you know, you are our child or our children, and you genuinely want to have a healthy co-parenting relationship with your ex, and you express that to your child or to your children, that's what you want to do. Because, you know, futuristically, you know, you guys are going to have to attend maybe 16th birthday parties together, you and your ex. You know, your child, as they get older, become adults, you know, they will, you know, get married. You know, you guys are going to have to come together and be in the same space, share the same space. So, you know, you're going to be grandparents. So you express to your children that you have together that you do. Want to create a very healthy co-parenting relationship with your ex, their other parent. Because at the end of the day, you two have this beautiful child or children together, and you want your ex, and I literally said this recently, you know, you want your ex to have a great life, obviously without you, but you want the best for them. And you say that really from your heart and your soul, and you mean it. Like you want them to have, this is when you know you've healed and you have moved on. When you can genuinely say, I want my ex-husband to have a great future life with whomever they will be with, and I want them to have a healthy life with whomever they're going to be with. You know, you want that for them, because again, at the end of the day, especially if you have children with that person, you know, you want your child's parent to be well. You know, and for me, you know, I recently expressed that and meant it. And I was like, wow, you know, I've come such a long way. And of course, there are other signs that I just have not mentioned, that you are healed, you're healing, and you have moved on. But these were just a couple of examples that I just wanted to give and share with the family. All right, listen, remember, be great to yourself because you are great. Be great to your family. They deserve your greatness. Be great to your community. Without love, self-love first, we have absolutely nothing. And as always, clarity is key. But without consistency, we have no balance. Family, be well.